Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be reading the last chapter in part 5, which is the Glastonbury Connection. Chapter 21 is what we're going to be reading today, and that is titled after the book, The Power of the Magdalene. And of course, we are reading Power of the Magdalene, written by Stuart Wilson and Joanna Prentis. Now, this chapter is very short, but I don't want to start a new part amongst reading part 5 and the last chapter. So we're just going to read this one on its own. So it's going to be a pretty short video. And then I will start part 6 in the next video that I do post. So as I said, chapter 21 is titled after the book, The Power of the Magdalene. Or Magdalene, however you want to say it. For some reason, it sounds weird saying it on its own, Magdalene, rather than saying Mary Magdalene. I'm not sure why. Anyhow, okay. So again, we're going to be speaking with Alariel. And Joanna starts out with a question. What do you see as the real significance of Mary Magdalene and her relevance today? Alariel, the real significance of the Magdalene is her role as an empowered and enlightened woman. She stands forth as a continuing inspiration to women all over the world. Joanna, and our world has moved on a lot in the last 2,000 years. Alariel says yes, and your world is now moving towards a state where each one of you is becoming your own sovereign and your own priest or priestess. So where will that leave organizations which have provided these functions for you in the past? In considering these things, the key question is where authority resides. The teachings of Jeshua put authority firmly within the transformative power of the Spirit. This is clearly reflected in one of the angelic summaries of his teachings, and here it is. The Spirit of God, working its miracles of change within the heart, becomes the ultimate authority, the agent of transformation, and the arbiter of truth. Within the group around Jeshua, the clearest carrier of that truth was Mary Magdalene. So that right there was a summary, an angelic summary of Jeshua's teachings. Joanna, surely it is a paradox that Mary Magdalene, the brightest and best disciple, and the human being closest to Jeshua, should become so feared and reviled by the churches set up in his name. How could this have ever happened? Alariel, it was precisely her effectiveness as a disciple, Jeshua called her, the woman who understands the all, that made her so dangerous. Even if she had not been the most Wait, I think I skipped a line. Even if she had not been the spiritual partner of Jeshua, her position as one of the most successful of his disciples would have been a continuing challenge to the authority of the patriarchal power base within the emergent church. The early church fathers were happy to accept Mary as the first witness of the resurrection, but they wanted to confine her to a witness role and prevent her from becoming recognized as a teacher. All the other apostles could teach and become leaders of the emergent church. But Mary was supposed to stay silent and just be a witness, an apostle to the apostles, but not to the world. The early church fathers could not tolerate the idea of a woman who was a teacher in her own right, and they wished to move the church in a direction which, over time, would consolidate patriarchal control. They had already started to develop Christianity from its beginnings as a God-centered presentation, steadily changing it until it became a Savior-centered presentation, focusing on a divine Savior-hero. The concept of a divine hero was familiar to all those brought up in Hellenic or Roman culture or the Hellenistic era, but quite alien to the Judaic tradition. The Jews perceived their long-awaited Messiah as a king of the Davidic line, or a line from King David. Sorry, my son is watching a football game, and he's probably forgotten I'm making a video. So, a great prophet and the restorer of independence and glory to Israel, but not as the Son of God. Jewish tradition was quite different from Hellenic culture in this respect. A Greek could aspire to become a god, but the Jews perceived God and humanity as being distinct and strictly separate. And this still is all coming from Ilarial. The early church fathers were not held back by any constraints of this kind, and they were starting to blur the boundaries that separated the human Jeshua from the divine Jesus. Within that context, Mary Magdalene was a major obstacle to church ambitions. Mary's role as the spiritual partner of Jeshua drew attention to his humanity at a time when the church leaders wanted to emphasize his divinity as a way of increasing their power and authority. They reasoned that the more powerful the founder of a religion was, the more power and respect his priests would be able to command. And Jesus does talk a lot about this in the Christ letters. He speaks to very specific religions when he's talking about this. And he basically says that until you're willing to put aside your differences and all think that you're the only and best religion, there would not be true peace between the churches. The wars would not stop. And that really and truly, there is no one true religion, because religion is man-made. You're not to worship Jesus. You're not even technically supposed to worship God. Once you realize who God really is, where he is, and how he operates, you do view this aspect quite differently. Sorry, my dog is back here. It scared me. I didn't know he was in here. The church leaders viewed the growing veneration of Mary Magdalene as a direct threat to their power base and to the concept of a divine Jesus that they wished to present. Rather than risk their presentation and their power being undermined, the early church fathers were prepared to revile Mary Magdalene and falsely accuse her of being a prostitute. Wow. So she was never a prostitute. This was just what the churches placed as sort of, this is the role that they gave her, because they didn't wish for her to have any role at all, really. The church's treatment of Mary is not only a great paradox, but one of the great injustices of the Western world. It is only now, after all these years, that this injustice is being exposed. Joanna, it certainly seems that Mary Magdalene's ability to influence and inspire is increasing rather than diminishing. Ilarial, the power of the Magdalene does not diminish or wither with the passing of time. She is the way shower, embodying the energy and wisdom of the sacred feminine, and inspiring others to do the same. She held a unique position amongst the disciples of Jeshua and demonstrated in her life the transforming power of the Spirit. It was Mary Magdalene's ability to attune to the power of Spirit that gave her the most complete understanding of the all, and that is all with a capital A. Whilst the disciples of Jeshua might be able to grasp the all intellectually, she absorbed the all into every level of her being, and thus became the ideal living pattern of what discipleship should be. Mary Magdalene and Jeshua demonstrated a new kind of partnership between two advanced beings. Their work on anchoring the energy of love into the matrix of the earth laid the foundations for all future expansion of the light on this planet, and that is light with a capital L. And their partnership provides a new model to inspire human beings to reach up into higher frequencies of understanding and collaboration. Through this new model, you begin to glimpse a better way forward, with man and woman working together in a greater harmony, where each respects the different talents and abilities of the other. When you begin to absorb and act upon this principle, it will inevitably lead to a rethinking of the whole basis of relationships. So the partnership of Jeshua and Mary Magdalene was both real in itself and yet also deeply symbolic. The partnership of Jeshua and Mary Magdalene reflects the ultimate balance of Father, Mother, God, which lies at the heart of the universe. This is why the image of Jeshua and Mary Magdalene as partners going forward hand in hand has such power to move hearts and minds. They embody a higher partnership between men and women, but they also point towards a fundamental truth about God and the universe. This is the message which the partnership of Jeshua and Mary Magdalene sends out into the world. This is the truth which your civilization has so long suppressed and denied. This is the reality which you are now challenged to acknowledge and accept. Comment by Stuart. It was fascinating to watch Alariel unpick the strands that contribute to the power of Mary Magdalene. Here we begin to glimpse the real underlying significance and uniqueness of Mary, and this opens up many questions about her enduring influence. Is this why she can still inspire and guide us in a way that still has relevance in the modern world? Is this the real secret of the Magdalene's power? Is this why she speaks so clearly to us across the centuries, despite all the efforts to silence her? Is the idea of Father, Mother, God, which represents, really so subversive and alien, or is it the fundamental nature of reality? And is this an idea whose time has come? All right. So that completes part 5, chapter 21. And in the next video, we will start part 6. And this is the first, it's titled Past Life in Translation. And chapter 22, which is what we're going to be reading next, Channels of Light and the Temple of Isis. So there's just so much information in here, far greater than what I was expecting. It's so amazing. I'm really enjoying this book, and I hope that you guys are too. So I will put my bookmark right here, and I may be doing another video right back to back. So it was such a short one. So I will see you guys again very soon for part 6 of our book, Power of the Magdalene. Until I see you again, take care of you, take care of those around you, and I love you all so much. Bye-bye.